And apparently Phineas and Ferb isn't done yet, because there's a new movie! Yay! Wasn't planning this. I was not planning on making a video involving Phineas and Ferb ever, and yet, here I am. No offense to the show, I actually really like it, but still. Anyway, my name's H.M. Brandon, and welcome back to my top 5? Just kidding, it's top 7. Yes, I am doing a top 7, and I will get to that in a moment. But first things first, yes, Phineas and Ferb have a new movie coming out on Disney+, and if you guys think I'm going to be interested in that, you'd be right. This show has been gone for a while, it was ended for a while. Then it was brought back in Murphy's Law for a crossover, because same creators. And even the ending special had another episode afterwards, which is more like an epilogue, even though it had nothing to do with Phineas and Ferb. I'll talk more about that in a moment, though. But, yeah. There are a few cartoons in this world that I watched when I was younger that I still love to this day, such as Steven Universe and Danny Phantom. But today we are talking about Phineas and Ferb, specifically the specials, and there are a lot of them. So much so that I decided not to do my usual top 5 and extend it to top 7. Because there is a lot of specials, and I was struggling a bit. And I was going to do episodes because, there are a lot of those as well. But, yeah, that would have taken a long time, as well as the fact that I'd like to get this video out before the release of the new movie, as well as the chibi shorts that were announced while I was writing the script for this. Anyway, real quick, I do not dislike any Phineas and Ferb episodes. I binge watched it all the way through because of this quarantine. And, well, with that beginning, let's start with some rules, because I want to make things clear. Number 1, in order for it to be counted as a special, it has to be longer than a normal episode. And because of that reason, in any unusual episode, such as the Caveman one, does not count as a special. Suffice to say, I actually really like that one, though. Number 2, movies, crossovers, and clip shows do not count. We're not counting the Second Dimension film, we're not counting the Marvel and Star Wars crossover, as well as the Mile Murphy one, and we are not counting any of the clip shows or music countdowns. Because I'm going to have my own music countdown at one point. Because why not? Number 3, if it is a 2-part special, which means it's separated into 2 individual episodes, I will count that as one whole thing, because splitting it up is not my method of my madness. Anyway, this is a long script, so let's get started with number 7, Night of the Living Pharmacists. Longtime viewers of the channel know that I have a love for the zombie genre. Specifically around the fact that I just adore anything involving the apocalypse, which is pretty bad now that I think about it. But anyway, this special involves Doofenshmirtz screwing up, making zombies that look like him, that if they touch you, electricity turns whoever they touch into Doofenshmirtz. They constantly shout lots of me, which is kind of annoying. Story-wise, it's interesting, and I love the zombie genre, so this works. Unfortunately, the only reason it's not higher on the list is because of 2 reasons. 1, the cure is just pretty easy, and technically speaking, if they would have just waited for it to rain, or if it rained, everything would have been solved. Also, everything was basically null and void at the end anyway, confirming that none of it really happened, and I don't appreciate fake-outs. Not happening. But, yeah. So, it's at the bottom for that reason. Number 6. Phineas and Ferb Christmas Vacation. Yes, I had to put a Christmas special on here. They basically saved Christmas. What else was I supposed to do? My stone cold heart warmed at this. Everyone kind of got what they wanted. It was overall a nice special. And the only reason I don't have it even higher is because it's a bit cliche. And, well, yeah, not much I can do about that. Honestly, I don't have as much to say about this one, but that's only because it's only here because Christmas is meaningful. Alright, number 5, Excalibur. I'm not even sure if this counts as a special, but I'm going to bend the rules a little bit for this, because, like the zombie genre, I absolutely love the medieval genre. And this kind of has a similar King Arthur magic demon dragon fight story thing that I really love. And they made it in their own unique way, which made a Doofenshmirtz Hydra versus a dragon platypus. And what the hell was I supposed to do? Ignore that? It was awesome. Honestly, though, the only reason I don't have it even higher, which seems to be the standing point for my bottom 3, is the fact that its ending was cliche, and honestly, it was kind of boring. Also it was a storytell thing, so it wasn't actually something that happened, so, yeah. Alright then, number 4, Sidetracked. And yes, I had to put at least one Perry the Platypus exclusive, if special, on this list. And I thought this one was really good. Perry teams up with a Canadian agent. They work together on a train while fighting on respective sides of the border to help save a moose from apparently the Canadian agent's nemesis, which, that's pretty cool. Overall, it's a pretty solid special, and it's very middle ground for me. As you can tell, it's at number 4 for a reason. Now, number 3, The Last Day of Summer. Yes, the supposed end of Phineas and Ferb. Well, besides all the things we've gotten recently, and over the years, but yeah. I had to put this one somewhere on the list, and I believe that number 3 is perfect. Top 3, to start off, it was great. Characters' work is solid. It shows more development than most of the specials, specifically for Candace and Doofenshmirtz. Candace failing her busting over and over again, and on the same day, most likely taught her a lesson about not busting, considering the fact that we don't see her attempt this in any future stuff, even though this is the last episode, technically. But, yeah, they concluded the story well. Doofenshmirtz realizes he's basically just a good guy, acting like a bad guy, which leads to that Alka special, which, well, I'll get to that in a bit, but overall, it's pretty good. Also, the last song ties it all together nicely with a little bow. It's just wonderful. What a great end to a great series. But it wasn't perfect, and because of that, I had to put it at number 3. Mostly because Phineas and Ferb don't really get to do as much in this, and for conclusion's sake, it wasn't that good for that. Also, I hate time travel stories. Screw them to hell. Also, there was a bit too much focus on Candace. Oh well. Number 2. I don't even know if you want to count this as a special, but I actually had trouble finding a spot for number 2. But I think this one counts. Act Your Age. Now, this one is a future episode. Oh, not a time travel episode, an actual future episode. And I loved it. I would have been fine if this was actually the ending of Phineas and Ferb. In fact, I thought it was for the longest time. We see a look at a bunch of our favorite characters. There's 10 years later. Candace is a lawyer. A bunch of the main kids are doing their own thing, doing what they love, going to do stuff they love, going to college and all that. A bunch of ships were confirmed, including the one that everyone wanted, Phineas and Isabella. Sure, it took them the whole series in 10 years to get there, but hey, at least they got there. It was a nice little special that was sweet, wonderful, had good music, and overall, I would have accepted this as the end of Phineas and Ferb. Alright, but now I think it's time to say this. Its biggest weakness is also the fact that it focuses a bit too much on Phineas and Isabella. While technically speaking this is good, it's also its biggest weakness. Because, well, they didn't focus on them nearly as much in previous episodes, so it almost feels a little forced. And for that reason, it is not at number 1, but at number 2. Now, before we get to number 1, let us go forward with some honorable mentions, and yes, I will say there are a lot of them. I have a whole page of them right here on my script. Anyway, I will go over them as quickly as I can because, well, if you can't tell, number 1 is pretty obvious. Alright, first honorable mention, Phineas and Ferb get busted. No matter how interesting an episode is, I hate dream fake-outs. Out to Lunch. Space, space, space. Kind of boring episode, though. Wizard of Odd. Nice parody for a classic movie, but because it's a parody, it did not make the cut. But The Beak. I almost put this on the list instead of Excalibur, but it was not nearly as good as I remembered. Roller Coaster Musical. Love the songs. Great solid remake of the first episode. Only reason it's not on the list is because it's a remake. Where's Perry? Home is where the heart is. Cliche, nice special, interesting plot, but it's too cliche. Terrifying tri-state trilogy of terror. Again, almost made the list if it wasn't basically a copy of The Simpsons Treehouse of Horror. Tales from the Resistance. I love the movie, but an episode piggybacking off it, if it was a two-parter, I probably would have been more interested. Phineas and Ferb Save Summer. I kind of forgot this one existed for a long time, and that's why it didn't make the cut. The Alka Files. A little epilogue that's nice, but it honestly should have just been a spin-off. And that's me saying it. Alright. And the number one Phineas and Ferb special is... And I mean, come on, it's obvious at this point. If I never mentioned it, which I probably haven't, y'all should expect me to do this for now. And I said y'all. Yes, I said it. Now, the number one Phineas and Ferb special is... Summer Belongs to You. It was too obvious, I guess. This is probably almost everyone's number one on Phineas and Ferb special. And I love it. It's the most balanced special. Every important character has some type of plot line. Right? They're written to a point that balances the story out. Candace isn't a terrible person, which I always think she is, honestly. Every scene has the right emotion for each song that's played, and I love it. And that's where the biggest plus of it comes from. The ending song. It's amazing. It balances out the special so well. It works. It just ties everything up nicely. It doesn't have to be the end of something. It just works. It reminds me of when I was younger and I watched this show for the first time, and I absolutely loved it. Truly, summer belongs to everyone, and this belongs at number one. Well, I hope you all enjoyed my top 7 ranting of Phineas and Ferb specials. If you think I'm wrong, comment it. I don't care if I'm wrong. This is my list. Make your own list. Make your own videos. Surround the YouTube with Phineas and Ferb top 7s, top 5s, top 10s. Surround the world with Phineas and Ferb. Do it now. Let us take over the internet. Or not. I don't know. If you want more of these specials, I'm considering making a top 5 musical and top 5 actual episodes of specials. But until then, I'm going to go watch that movie because I hope to get this out before then. Until then, I am H.M. Brandon. Have a wonderful evening, afternoon, morning, night, wherever you are, and peace out, people.